Hi everyone, as I promised, this time we will check about volleyball workouts with my friend and coach, Rett Larson.
Hey guys, it's Rett Larson. I am the strength coach for the German women's volleyball team, and I'm here today to talk about the importance of variety in the way that you train your athletes.
Rett, can you name benefits of variety in workouts for players?
Variety is important for a number of reasons. The first of all being that sport is about reacting to stimulus and adaptation. And that's what we look for in the best players, is players who see a new stimulus and can adapt to it. And if your practice is monotonous, the same thing over and over again, it's working against what you ultimately want from athletes. There's also something called bore out. And we all know what burnout is. Burnout is when you overtrain athletes and you're doing kind of the same movements over and over again. You can burn out of those or overtrain that. Well, there's also the psychological deadening that athletes get when they are doing a monotonous task over and over again. The learning stops being as sticky when you're doing the same thing over and over again. So having variety, intelligent variety in practice that keeps your athletes engaged and stimulated helps them in their motor development and helps them become better overall athletes. It also just makes for a more fun training environment. You want athletes that are intrinsically motivated to work hard in practice. Well, if your practice has different elements in it that keep athletes engaged and interested, and they don't know what's coming up next, and they love the variety, that makes it easier to go to practice and work hard in practice. So I think that having a lot of variety in practice at the right times is nothing but a positive for most athletes.
Do you think that too much variety does prevent the players from adapting to workouts?
As with anything, there can be too much variety, of course. If every time my athletes went into the weight room, they saw 10 brand new exercises, sure, it would be stimulating and interesting. It would probably make them really sore, but we wouldn't be getting stronger at the key lifts that make volleyball players jump really high, run fast, and not get injured. So the way that you infuse variety in a smart way is to just take what you think are the most important key performance indicators, jumping, being strong in your legs, to make it very simple, and you keep doing the exercises that have been proven to get your athletes there. Squats, deadlifts, Bulgarian split squats. But within those exercises, you can infuse variety. It's one day you're squatting back squats as fast as possible. Sometimes you're squatting from pins to go as heavy as you can. Sometimes you're squatting off of one leg. Sometimes you're squatting with bands on or chains. It's all squats, but there's variety in the squat. And that little bit of stimulus is all I'm asking to keep the athletes running to your computer when they walk into the weight room and wondering what they get to try to do next. So that is the way you would do it without it being too much variety. In practice, of course, you need to be practicing. If you're volleyball players, you need to practice hitting down the line. You can practice the same drill over and over again, as long as maybe the next drill is something more interesting and stimulating. It doesn't have to all be crazy. You just need to make sure that your athletes aren't so familiar with the beats of practice that they know what they're doing before you even tell them. That's where you get bore out.
In your opinion, where is the most important part of a training that we have to use variety? Warm-up, base training, and etc., etc.
As a strength coach, the place that I think that variety is the most effective is in warm-up, because warm-up is typically the part of practice that athletes tend to sleepwalk through. They just need to get through it before they get onto the fun thing, which is playing volleyball in practice. Well, it's my goal to create an environment in warm-up that is interesting and that the athletes see contributes to their overall athletic development, so that it's not something to be thrown away. It's actually a vitally important part of practice that helps expand their movement libraries. Because the great thing about variety is that It will force you to possibly do movements you've never done before, but those are movements that you might be able to tap into during a match that help you get a point. And so it's my goal during a warm-up is to have at least parts of that warm-up that are helping to increase the library of movements that my athletes can tap into during a match. And that's why I think that the variety in warm-up is probably the best place to have some fun, because the athletes enter the training day stimulated, and maybe they've already been a little competitive. Maybe maybe they've done something they've never done before. And all of these things, when athletes are growing through learning new movements, solving movement puzzles, this all contributes to happiness. This all makes athletes more excited about a training day. And if my warm-up can go from being something that is kind of a throwaway to something that the athletes actually enjoy and see themselves growing within, then I'm doing my job and I'm sending them off to my coach after warm-up happier, more stimulated, and better athletes.